Most people have never even heard of Mulberry, Florida. This tiny town in the middle of nowhere. I know I haven't. I've been in Florida for the past couple of years. Thankfully, I stumbled across it. Now, it's not big, nothing special, but it's got its charm. Let's check it out. So Mulberry is just this really small town that's like 11 miles south of Lakeland, and Lakeland has an awesome skate park. This one, not so much. I wasn't even planning on coming here. I was only here for about 2 hours. It was pretty late in the day when I got here, and I had traveled to another skate park that was maybe only an hour away from where I live, and it turns out that it was closed. So I was like, all right, I don't really know of any other skate parks in this area, so I just found the closest one that was to me because I didn't want the entire day to go to waste. So looked it up, boom, small little skate park, tiny little Mulberry, Florida, and I was like, hey, you know what? Got a couple hours, it seems really small, so see if I can knock it out one day. But I pulled up, the first thing I noticed was all the artwork. So that was really cool. It's in this park area where there's a bunch of different things like a basketball, a walking track, a gazebo, a stage, some swings, like all this different stuff. And the artwork was really cool. It's kind of all around everywhere. The building that's behind the skate park, there's a pool. I just liked the way it looked. It had a neat aesthetic to it. But as for the park itself, man, it's pretty bad. Before we get into the crazy, like, bad stuff, I'll list a few positives. Probably the best positive is that it actually flows decently. Like, for it being small, it's not just a bunch of random stuff just stuck everywhere. There is basically 2 quarter pipes on the outside that go into a fun box, and then around the edges there are a few rails. And that's pretty much, you know, it's simple, basic, but it's probably the best that they could do with this space. And then on the far end, there is a half pipe. Like, I think it's like a 4.5 foot, maybe 5 foot half pipe. So let's break down some of the negatives. The transition. All the transition is pretty bad. It's almost too mellow. When you skate it, you can tell someone who either doesn't skate or doesn't have much experience skating built it. Right off the bat, as soon as you step foot into the park, you're gonna realize, okay, a skate company was not responsible for the construction of this place. And if it was a skate company, they should never build parks again because it's pretty bad. The one on the far end, the first one I skated, the coping is just like sunken in. You can't even do like a blunt to fakie. I couldn't do it. It was struggling. There's like, it doesn't leave you any like room to pop. You're not gonna be doing a whole lot of stalls. You can do some like basic ones. And the transition is not steep at all. It's almost too mellow. So I basically just like skated it like a bank. And then the other quarter pipe on the opposite side, it has no coping at all, just has a little curvature in the concrete. That kills your stalls too. It's kind of fun, it's interesting, you know, doing roll-ins and roll-outs or whatever, but I prefer coping. Even if the coping doesn't stick out very much and it's sunken into the ramp, I still prefer there to be coping there because that just, you know, you cannot grind at all. Absolute worst part about this park is the very center section, the fun box section. If a skate park has a fun box, that's usually a representation of the heart of the skate park. Like, that's usually where the most is going on. It's like the centerpiece. And if you have a bad centerpiece, it reflects the entire skate park. And this centerpiece is awful. It's really bad. It's super tiny. It's short in height and it's short in length. I feel like it would be perfect for a kid, like a smaller kid, but once you're like a regular adult size or whatever, it's like, it's just too tiny. It's very frustrating. The flat on the top is not very long. The rail is really short. The banks on it are really short. One bank is like really skinny, and the manual pad would be good, if it were a little bit longer. The height's like almost perfect, but it's just so short. I mean, it's not even as long as I am tall, so it's probably only about 4 feet long. I struggle just to get like a manual shove it out. Then that brings me to the outer edges. There's 3 rails, a flat square rail, and then a flat round rail, and then there is a flat kinked rail. All the rails are fine, like they're built great. They're sturdy, they're a little rusted, but that's to be expected. They're a nice length, 10 to 12 feet long, each of them. The kinked rail, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It was really, really rusted. I tried to hit a board slide down the whole thing, and it wasn't happening. And I didn't have any wax in my bag, so after I tried that for a while, I was like, okay, I'll move on. And then the final thing there is to talk about is the half pipe. Unfortunately, got a lot of complaints about the half pipe as well. So here are the main 2 problems with it. It's too mellow to the point where once you get up the initial curve, it feels like it almost goes flat and it's not curving anymore, and it just feels like a bank at the top. And the flat in between the quarters is way too short. If they just fixed those 2 things, it would feel so much better to skate. The coping is sunken in, so that's another complaint, but I mean, it is what it is. I've skated a lot of places with coping sunken in, and you know, you get used to it, you get around it. But I don't know, everything here was just a struggle to skate. It was very frustrating, but it was fun, you know. I skated here for 2 hours and, you know, came to a place I'd never been before. So it was fun just to explore everything and see what I could do on it in the short amount of time that I had. So with all the faults that the skate park has, I was able to land a good amount of stuff in a short period of time, and I had fun doing it. So that just goes to show that parks can be bad, but even when they're bad, they're still fun, you know? The community seems cool. There weren't a whole lot of skateboarders out here today. Right when I got here, 2 guys showed up and they said they were from this area. They left like after maybe 5 or 10 minutes and they were like, hey, we're going to the Lakeland skate park. So I looked up the Lakeland skate park and it is so much better than this skate park. I'm really excited to go there. I'd love to go there and cover that park as well. This is just a little community park. Like if you're a local, maybe if you're under 16, 17 years old and you don't have a car, you want to skate, there's nothing wrong with coming here. But if you're a traveler, 11 miles away is Lakeland, and they have a way, way better skate park. Overall, I had a good time. Just the atmosphere is really calming. It's really nice. There's something about these small towns. I guess it just gives me a nostalgic feeling because I used to be from a small town and it just feels just really chill. So if you need to get away from like the hustle and bustle of bigger cities, or you need to just like relax and release some stress, this type of stuff is totally chill. I don't mind it. That's it for this episode. Thank you for sticking around. I hope, despite the downsides of this skate park, I was able to convey the vibes and the charm that it gives off. Here's where we're going next.